Welcome to the fight game. He's Icewater, Puma, and the first fight we want to talk about is what we talked about last week. Fendora takes the belts, and he went with something I didn't expect him to go. He went with the game plan. He was using the jab. He was using his distance. The fight was a bloody mess, to say the least, with Tszyu catching the elbow. But after the fight, it was clear that Fendora won that fight, and he had to do what he had to do. Tszyu was trying to come in and shorten the distance. He just couldn't do it. And Tszyu, after the fight, saying, "Hey, I'll fight anybody." At this particular point, Fendora said, "Hey, I'm up for fighting anybody." I think I talked to you after the fight, and we said that it was going to be it should be a rematch with this particular fight. But then our boy Earl Smith Jr. steps in the ring, says he'll fight Fendora, and looks him up and down, said, "Yeah, I have to chop him down, but you know how we do." So he's ready to fight Fendora now. Your thoughts about that fight and what's in the future for Fendora and Tszyu?
Yeah, the fight itself, it was a good fight. It was hard to watch though because you after the elbow or whatever grazing the forearm, Tszyu was a bloody mess. And when to hear him talk about it afterwards was even more. You can tell how crazy it was to fight. And if nothing else, hats off to him, salute to him because he could easily just quit, said it was too much, because he said the blood was on his forehead was literally just dropping to his eyes, and he couldn't see. So he said I couldn't see anything. So every time he wanted to punch or whatever, he had to wipe his eyes so he could try to see. And so he was almost punching blindly. But he went the whole distance and he didn't quit and he came close. But and he just the way he said it too was he credited, to like, hey man, I'm a warrior. I wasn't quitting for nobody. And he was the better man tonight. He could have easily said, if I didn't have that blood in my face, I could have done this. He didn't say that. He just said, hey, he was better than I was. And talked about Fendora, asking him about him having the advantage. He's like, look, dude, blood was flowing through my nose. It was just ongoing in my mouth. I had issues too. But to see both of them really just go after it, uh, you have to give your you have to give credit to Fundora, right? Because the one thing we always talk about, he's a one trick pony. Sooner or later, when he get hit, he gonna start coming forward and acting like he's 5'9" in the phone booth. He didn't do that. Not often. He kind of stayed away, boxed. His dad helping out. I think his sister being around too was like, look, this is the way you're gonna win. And maybe he has finally grown into that boxer that understands it's important more to win than it is try to slug it out. Because if you think about it, the last fight where he got knocked out from Mendoza, he was winning that fight before he got sloppy and took a chance and got knocked out. He was winning. So maybe he's learned. I hope he has. If nothing else, congratulations to him because who knows what he was going to do if he ever would have become champion. So he's a champion. So congratulations to him. In regards to the future, it's scary, man. It's scary. I love Vendora's attitude. I like his skill. I like the fact that he's big, but I just don't know if you jump into the ring with one of these other skilled fighters, a la Errol Spence Jr., Terrence Crawford, and you start getting caught up into your old ways, it could not be pretty. If that happened to you versus Mendoza, I don't know. But his promoter is about the business. Promoter said, yeah, a rematch. We'll think about that. But his promoter's like, I got to think about the best way to make money for my fighter. So that tells you right then and there, it might be a rematch clause, but I don't think it is. He's like, Wade was like, no, yeah, okay, but we're looking over here. And I think Fundora knows that a fight with Errol Spence Jr. is going to be a lot bigger. He said he wants to fight Crawford too. I don't know how true that really is. So if you here's the thing, I'm not in this business. I'm not in this corner. I'm not on this team. But from a standpoint of business, Errol Spence is coming off surgery. You never know if he's the same guy he was. I think I would take that risk quicker than I would Terrence Crawford, right? You would think that. You would take that risk. And Errol Spencer's like, why not? Also, too, thinking about it this way, I think I told you before, considering that Terrence Crawford is technically a free agent, he's on the outside looking in with PBC. Well, Fedora is connected to PBC. It's easy for Errol Spence to get that shot.
Yeah.
Because you heard Leonard Elderby, who's connected right there with Mayweather Promotions and also connected with the PBC. One of the first things came out of his mouth when I asked that question is, well, Errol's family. He's been with PBC forever. So he's gonna get the shot first. It's not about who's the better man or who won the more exciting fight. That's how the game is played. So he's probably gonna get that shot first. And Terrence Crawford, with his amazing ability, still seems to be on the outside looking in from a business standpoint, which blows my mind. I don't get this. You're probably the best damn fighter in boxing. But when it comes to business, you should be making all kind of dough and fighting whoever you want to, whomever for the best, the biggest purses. And you're outside. And I thought connecting with PBC initially and making a bunch of money, getting a lot of love, you stick right in the pocket and make more money. But again, and maybe that makes you think back to the top rank days, right? It makes you think that way. But I'll say this: I think Tim Zoo is hungry. He wants to prove himself, and I like that. I mean, of course, he wants a rematch, but on the other end, he's like, I'll fight anybody. He's like, look, I got that warrior mentality. I'm not afraid of anybody. I like that in him. I'm not sure what the outcome will be in regards to a boxing sense, because I think styles make fights, and the boxer might give him a little trouble. But I like the attitude that he's like, I don't care. I'll fight anybody. I think there's some other cats at that 154 mark that he could fight. I think I would start as I get off this, and I'm sorry to be so long-winded. If I get off of this, I think one of the fights I'll be looking at immediately coming back, if nobody else wants to fight, is Erickson Lubin.
I don't know about that, but I kind of feel that that would be an interesting fight, I think. But I kind of feel like Terrence Crawford's going right back to Nebraska. Same old blueprint. Fight out of Nebraska. Everybody, he that would like to go to Nebraska goes to there to fight him. And I don't understand. He's over 35, I think, at this particular point now. You should be trying to hit the big fights and make that money. I don't know what it is about the business side of the Crawford camp, but it just doesn't seem like they're well put together and put together in a way to make money. He's pound for pound one of the best fighters in boxing, and he can't make money, and that doesn't make sense. It almost reminds me of
Andre Ward.
Andre Ward.
Okay.
Andre Ward. And he was the best of the best as far as I was concerned, but nobody wanted to fight him. I guess because I think people were really afraid of him. And then he finally just bowed out, saying, "I can't get any fights. Let me go make some money doing something else." But it seems like the Terrence Crawford situation is a little bit different than Andre Ward at this particular point. But here's a fighter who's pound for pound probably the best, just like Andre Ward, and can't find a fight.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. But like you said, I think, as we said earlier, I think this Terrence Crawford's situation is really business related, right? I mean, you've been wanting all the time for the longest time to break away from Top Rank, and you wanted to make money. You make money with PBC, and granted, you can do whatever you want to, but at least with PBC, there's a influx, or there's a group of fighters under the same umbrella that you can make money off of, right? If Canelo would have came to actually come to the table, you could fought Canelo under the PBC when he was connected to them, or still willing to work with them. You could have fought Benavidez, right? That's a lot over. That's over the top, or even to the point of the younger Charlo. So there are a lot of fights there at that, or even I'm not sure what Boots is doing, but at that level, you could have fought so many different people at 147 or 154, and now you're on the outside looking in. So, hey, like you said, you love Nebraska, and that's what you want to be. You might as well call Bob Arum back up.
Yeah.
I know he's not going to do that, but I guess the checks and balances don't really weigh well for me because you're to the point of talking about going over the pond and fighting Connor Ben. Better than that, bro. I don't understand it.
Yeah, another fight that was a one round fight is the Cruz and Romero fight, and Cruz just dismantled Romero. What do you make of Romero? I know he talks a lot, but it seems like when he gets in the ring, he just can't execute what he's talking about.
First of all, anybody gets in the ring, I respect. Okay, let me say that. Now we talk about how really good he is in comparison to other fighters that's supposed to be good or great. It leaves a lot to be desired. You know, the last fight that he fought, I think he fought an elderly gentleman, according to, in regards to boxing. And a lot of people said that he was close to losing that fight if he didn't lose it. He's fighting the older guy that looked great. And then you go back around talking about all this stuff about wanting to fight Ryan Garcia. And you finally jump into the ring and say you're going to fight, Cruz and fight Pitbull. And he just dismantles you. And I think to me, Romero enjoys the spotlight. He likes to talk a little bit and glamorize and wear the shirts where he's not wearing any t-shirts and show his chest now, which I'm for all that. That's how you make your money great. But to really think about trying to classify him as a world-class fighter anymore, I think that's hard to do. Can he still be on the second level or third tier and fight and make money? Yeah, sure. There's that much room in the boxing. But can I really legitimately, when I think at the class, the way he's fighting at, can I sit back and go, yeah, Romero's one of the top guys, and I'm looking forward to his next fight? Answer is going to be no.
Any other fight you want to talk about in boxing? Because I know I'm going to go to UFC for a couple of fights I saw over the weekend.
Yeah, maybe just talk a little bit about. I mean, what's next for some people like Pitbull, right? What's going on with him? And is he going to fight? Everybody's talking about maybe fighting Tank Davis again. Not really feeling that. And there are a lot of people out there that we just don't know. Is David Haney really going to fight Garcia? And who the hell is Shakur Stevenson fighting next? Throw
That,
that out there.
that I don't know. It's almost like he doesn't know what to do now in his career.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's what I want. I mean, tell me what you think. Do you think? I mean, I named some names. I mentioned Pitbull. I mentioned if Haney doesn't fight Garcia, and also with Shakur Stevenson.
Yeah, I would love to see Shakira fight Pitbull. I would love to see Shakira fight in the 140 ranks. But it's sad that the business side kind of gets in the way of who should really fight who. And usually, I know when we were coming up, it was like you had a ranking system and you had to work your way up the ranking system to get a title shot. But now it's like you just kind of pick and choose who you want to fight based on how much money you're going to make. And I guess if I was in boxing, I'd be frustrated if I was a good fighter. I was ranked number 5, but I was always being overlooked because other people thought that, the money fight would be better than me kind of getting up the ranks. I think of Boots Ennis, who is ranked and is a decent fighter, was not getting a chance to fight for a title. I think about guys in different weight classes that are 6 to 10, who are not being talked about, saying, "Hey, give them a title shot," because they're in the top 10 and they're trying to move up. And so it's not that way anymore. Boxing doesn't run that way anymore. It's more so who do we want to see fight, and who's going to make the most money, and that's how the matchmakers kind of go with it now.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. There is one scenario, besides the wanting to see Usyk and Fury. I really want to see that fight. Look forward to that. There's one other scenario that I've been thinking about, and I really want to see it happen because this guy says he wants to be great, and he'd be willing to take a chance at greatness. And that is first we know we're gonna have Beterbiev versus Bivol at light heavy, and then David Benavidez says I'm willing to go up to 175 and fight the winner. I want to see all of that because Benavidez has been fighting, been trying for a long time to get his just due and be respected again. There are a lot of people that still do respect him, but they're probably, I won't say naysayers. I'm not a naysayer, but there are somewhat skeptics like myself a little bit. If you want the full regalia and the full respect, we need you to get out there. And I think the fight at 175 would prove that he is as great as he says he is or can be. And of course, the fight that everybody thinks would allow him to grab the brass ring or be at the top or considered one of the best currently right now will be the fight versus Canelo Alvarez, which I'm not sure he'll ever get, right? I'm not sure if he'll ever get that fight. But if you're not going to get that fight, then I like your attitude to say, hey, the hell with that. I'm gonna go up to 175 and fight the winner of the Bivol Better Be fight. And we know what the last time Canelo lost, who he lost to. And if I beat that guy, maybe you'll come and fight me then. If not, I can always say I beat the guy that you couldn't. I love the scenario. I love it because Benavidez is like the hell with it. I'll fight anybody and I'll step up, but I'm gonna show you better than I can tell you.
I would like boxers now to make moves. Instead of waiting on somebody to give you a shot, just make moves, make money, keep beating fit folks. Keep keep in shape. Do what you got to do. If you have to move up into another weight class, move down to another weight class. Just stay busy, fight. This 1 and 2 years to wait for a certain fight doesn't work for me anymore. If you're really the man, then fight everybody that's in your weight class or in different weight classes. Do what you got to do, make money. And for Terrence Crawford, if I was part of his team, let's go make some money. Who do you want to fight? Who's willing to fight you? Let's go make some money. Because you're sitting there with the belts, but you ain't making no money. You're just not.
Yeah.
And people aren't coming knocking on your door wanting to fight you. So make it happen. Whoever wants to fight you, let's go. Make the weight, let's go.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I am also interested to see what happens next with Tim Zoo, right? Because now, as I said before, I think styles make fights. I think the factor that even if he was not had not been cut or was not a bloody mess versus Fundora, I think the factor that a boxer now might be able to do what Fundora did without all the, I mean, a very good boxer. Okay, I'm not talking about just average person, but a very good boxer might be able to, do what Fundora did and stay away and make that thing happen. But to Zoo's credit, he's like, I don't care. I'm back in it. I'll fight anybody, anytime, any place. So I'm interested to see what the next step is for him and what it could mean in regards to excitement in boxing.
All right. Let's move into some MMA. UFC had an event last weekend. The French woman, Manoun Furat, hopefully I'm pronouncing her name right. She won a 5 round decision, just basically, with her hands, just fierce hand game, jabs, punches, and Blatchfield never really got a chance to kind of get her game off, not even a ground game. And I thought this was going to end in a night knockout in the women's flyweight, but it didn't. And then we had Jaquan Buckley. I've seen him fight before, but he took out Vincent Leque with a second round TKO and just kind of pummeled him once he got him to the ground. And the favorite was Leque, but Buckley says, "Hey, I'm ready to fight anybody in this welterweight division. Let's go, let's go." So I'm looking forward to UFC 300 because there are a lot of people on that card. Your thoughts about what you want to see in UFC, bro?
Yeah, the Buckley, I like to see Buckley fight somebody of more substance, right? Because he's willing to fight whomever that comes his way. Look forward to that. Um, I need to see John Jones back, right? When he comes off of his injury. I think there are a lot of quality fights at heavyweight, right? That could happen. I want to see what Israel does, right? If he ever comes back, I think Israel's bored. Not sure if Israel wants to move up to like heavyweight. I mean, that's a big jump. I would love to see Israel versus John Jones just because. I would, just because I think it would be theater, man. It'd be straight theater. Um, Daniel Cormier come on this one anyway, but but no, John Jones there also too. I want to see more quality action because I think um, it appears if USC is kind of scratching, trying to find quality fights because some of your better fighters are gone. The lioness is nowhere around. You know, you saw some other women that are older getting out the way and moving on. In the same way, it seems like with men. So they throw all the. I mean, you can have a pay per view every week. That's what they do, right? Pretty much throw anybody out there. But unless you're a hardcore UFC fan, what are we getting for our bucks? I mean, you got Nate Diaz and Masvidal talking about boxing now. So a lot of the old guard, Conor McGregor, Holly Holmes. I mean, I guess she might still be fighting, but a lot of the old guard that really got me excited about UFC. I'm kind of a novice, and maybe you need to re-educate me, or Dana White need to re-educate me on some of these new people because I'm like, I went from Mighty Mouse and all that. I worked my way through, and I just kept learning about both sides. Now I'm like, I feel like I'm lost because I'm like, well, are they really good? Give me something to follow. That's what I'm asking. Because those that are not hardcore, it appears as if we're lost looking for something or some direction or somebody to follow to jump back in full throttle.
Yeah, and I think what you said and what you're saying is this is that UFC is now, and I have respect for the fighters who fight in the UFC, but then they're lacking the star power now. There is no athlete that's kind of so riveting that everybody wants to watch them now. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I turned from boxing to UFC the other night, I was just wondering who was fighting because it wasn't the star power that we're used to in
Mm-hmm.
like a few years ago um, with the Israels, with the all the different fighters that were kind of just dominating UFC, John Jones, um, Cormier, all these fighters that you're like, okay, I gotta watch this, and I'll watch the undercards just to get to the main event. Um, McGregor's gone. Ronda Rousey, who was like the star power. So there's a lack of, and not saying these fighters aren't stars, but there's a lack of that star power that everybody will put their everything down that they were doing that day and watch a UFC fight um,
Mm-hmm.
like they did in the past when you had these colossal kind of matchups, and the matchups aren't there anymore. And I have to think that if Dana White and the UFC opened up the how much they pay these fighters and pay them more for how much money they're getting on pay per views and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
I would think a lot of fighters that would make them hungry enough to even fight even more in the UFC. But it's been a known fact that the UFC doesn't pay their fighters really well. That's why they're venturing out into boxing and doing other things because if you're not paying them well and you're getting the lion's share of the money, I mean, why fight all that hard for some scraps when you can go over like Ngannou, who goes over and meets two heavyweight champions and probably got paid more money in those two fights than he ever got paid in the UFC. So the last fight was like 20 million. I don't think they're paying that in the UFC. So pay these fighters to fight. If you really want star power, if you really want people to kind of go all out, they're not going out for I don't even know if they're getting six figures to be honest with
Mm.
fights. To be honest, sometimes they're getting 25 to 50,000. That's no money when you're kind of touting yourself as premier boxing league here, and you're not paying the fighters, and they have to scrap and do whatever they need to do just to survive in this sport and be the top person. I don't know. Do you know the salaries of what they're getting now?
Off the top of my head, I do not, but we can have that for them next week. We can check out some salaries to see what it is. But I agree with you. I mean, it is still, we try to make it not entertainment, but it is entertainment and it is people making a living as well. And from that standpoint, I think it does the UFC a disservice when you have one of your so-called top guys trying to talk about I'm a box. I mean, as a boxing fan, I mean, Conor McGregor was able to last for a while against an Asian Floyd Mayweather. But the other part is, how can I really take you seriously? Stay in your own damn sport.
Yeah,
You
but if your
know,
sport ain't paying you,
I get it, but as a fan,
yeah,
is that what I want to see? Because I mean, you're never going to be. It's like when I hear Clarissa Shields going over to the other side. It's like you would. I mean, I get it, but I want to see you at your best.
So, I guess we can find this out and talk about it next week. Is that Carissa Shields? How much money does she actually make? Because she hasn't had too many fights, and there's not a big demand for women boxers. I'm sorry, that's the truth. You're not going to get paid like the premier boxers that are males, and so it's a supply and demand. And so I can see her trying to make money in the meantime, trying to do MMA. And but she's not going to make that money. I don't know. Maybe she makes more trying to do MMA than in boxing. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it just depends, but I mean, we probably need to look at that, and because I want to be able to see who's getting paid what. Like for instance, just certain guys are getting certain kind of monies, and we know what it looks like. I mean, I think that's a great topic to really get into and figure out because you're like, now we know why somebody does something.
Yeah, yeah. And because you hear the arguments in different sports that women in that are that men are in, like in basketball. It's like this supply and demand. How many people are going to buy you know tickets to the Lakers and Celtics as opposed to the LA Sparks and the Aces?
Yeah.
It's who the ticket price is going to be different. The audience is going to be different. The crowd's going to be different. You put them both in the Staples, you may not be able to fill for the women's game, but you're going to fill for, you know, and if it's a playoff game, if they can make money, they can make money. But if you made more money, and I can see some of these UFC fighters, whether I'll stick with the males who are not making the money in UFC, they're going into boxing, going in ways and avenues they can make money. When you have Ngannou who had to borrow money from another UFC fighter because he didn't, couldn't make ends meet, there's something wrong. And he's supposed to be one of the top heavyweights. Something wrong. Something's wrong.
I agree. I agree, but it's like anything else. The most popular sports get the money.
Yep. He's Icewater. I'm Puma, and this is Fight Game.